So that was kind of the start of it. And then Richard and I, with the sick minds that we are, kept coming up with all these disgusting, gruesome, push the envelope, twist turns kind of stuff. And really put together, this really twisted film.
Hey everyone, it's David Stark from Watch Your Past. Today I'm talking to Brande Roderick, the director and star of Wineville, which is coming to VOD on September 6, 2024. I'm going to talk to her right now, and while you're watching, if you can like and subscribe to this channel, that would be fantastic. That helps me out a lot. Cheers! So, thanks so much for joining me. Today I've got Brande Roderick, the director and star of Wineville, which is coming to VOD on September 6, 2024. It is a 70s throwback horror thriller that has a lovely kind of like 70s style, really kind of like good use of practical effects and some twists along the way. I enjoyed it. I loved the kind of like the way it felt like an older movie, and I loved how you took on so many hats in this movie. So I'm excited to talk to you more. Thanks so much for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me here. I appreciate it.
Of course, of course. So, first question, how did you get? Oh, I guess we should probably start with a cheers. I have a wine glass with some sort of beverage.
All right,
Cheers.
cheers.
All right. So, how did you get involved in this project? How did this script come across your desk, and what made you want to step up and direct?
Well, it kind of all started. How much time do we have?
This is your interview. I got as much time as you'll give me.
It really all started kind of during COVID. I was doing a couple films where I was producing and helping out a friend. And it was during that time where they just weren't casting because there were only a few films that were able and allowed to shoot. And so there really wasn't a lot of work. And I just thought, you know what? I've always wanted to make my own film. This is the perfect time to do it because we're kind of all at a standstill right now. And I love the horror genre. And because I'm a business person, I called all my producer friends and said, how easy or hard is it to do a genre film? Is there another genre that might be best? And they all said, Brande, horror is the easiest to sell and, where you can make the most money. So like, okay, well, my business mind and my love for horror, yes, great, this is going to work out. And I have this friend who has this amazing winery in Southern California that was built in the 1900s. And even though it's just the most beautiful setting and beautiful winery, it also is very eerie and creepy and lends itself to a 70s horror set. Because it had all the old barns, the old farm equipment, everything that kind of creates that 70s, Texas Chainsaw Massacre vibe. So the story really started with the location. And I hired Richard Schenkman, who is a wonderful writer, and brought him on as a producer as well. And so he and I went to this set, and we knew that we were going to have a strong female character, and also my son was going to be in the movie. So we would have this wonderful relationship between a mother and a son, and something that would be created where a mother would do anything to protect her son. So that was kind of the start of it. And then Richard and I, with the sick minds that we are, kept coming up with all these disgusting, gruesome, push the envelope, twist turns kind of stuff. And really put together, this really twisted film.
Yeah, I was going to ask if the family dynamics were in the script originally, or if you added those to kind of like give this more of a shocking kind of number of twists. But it sounds like that was all part of it right from the start. It sounds like you were both.
Yeah, right from the start. It started from the two characters, my Tess and my son, and then went from there. So we knew we really wanted to create the vibe of a really messed up family.
And what a special kind of thing for your son, right? Most kids during COVID just got bored and like glued to their screens. Your son got an IMDb entry,
Yeah.
so that's amazing.
Right. Although he'd rather be playing football, but
He'll look back on this, and I'm sure he'll appreciate it at some point when he can finally see it, when he's old enough to see it.
I think so too.
Actually, I'm curious, has he seen? How much of the movie has he seen? Have you made like a special cut for him?
When we first shot it, he was only like 11 or 12 or something. So I was like, there's no way he's going to see this movie. I'm going to have to like cut out most of the movie for him to watch any of it, but now he's 14. So this has been going on for, quite a number of years. So now he's 14, he's old enough, he knows about a lot of stuff that, stuff that's going on in the movie. So I feel better about him watching it. So he's going to go to the premiere next week. So.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. And yeah, wow, how time flies, especially when the kids are young. That's amazing.
So crazy. Definitely flies very fast.
So it sounds like you were heavily involved, at least in like the treatment stage. But were you credited as a writer in this movie, or did you just kind of like help with ideas and help with like some of the main concepts?
Credit as a creator of the
Create.
film.
Okay, perfect.
We came up with the idea and just bounced back and forth, but the actual writing of the script was Richard Schenkman.
Perfect. No, that's awesome. I love that kind of like you used your love of the genre to amp it up even more to just make sure that this film sticks out.
100%. And
Um,
he would then say to me sometimes with certain scenes, like, "Are you sure you want to do that?" I'm like, "Yes, I want to do it." And then he would come up with things and I'm like, "Oh, I don't know. Are you sure we should do this?" He'd like, "Yes, it's going to be great." So we both kind of helped each other push the envelope.
it sounds like you were both each other's devils on your shoulder.
Exactly.
And I love the older style. I love the way that this felt like a throwback. I mean, I assume that was always the goal, was to make like an older style 70s horror throwback. Or did that kind of come about as you were just like filming it, like, hey, let's make it a little bit different?
Well, actually, so the script was written and Richard sent it to one of his friends that he really respects, another filmmaker. And he was reading it and came back to us and said, "You know what, guys, this really sounds like a period piece. Like this sounds like your classic 70s horror film." And Richard and I talked about it, and I was just like, "Oh my gosh, could this be done?" So I called some of my other friends that are producers and asked them, like, how much more expensive is it to do a period piece? And there was, the clothing was going to be more expensive. We had to come up with like 5 different period piece cars. We had to rent everything at that point. So, I tried to calculate it all and I said, "You know what? I think it's going to be worth it. I really do." So I had to make that executive decision that I think that this is going to make this movie special. And I really think that it has, by making it that real classic 1970s feel.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think it does make it stick out. And one of the hallmarks of that is the use of practical effects, which I also loved. I assume that was that always part of the plan, or did you kind of like add that in when you were making this into more of a period genre piece?
No, practical effects was hands down. I wanted to do as much as possible with practical because another thing, like I called my girlfriend who is a big time horror film producer. And she said, one of the most important things you can do is use practical. She said, horror fans, they don't want the fake stuff that's done afterwards and post. They want real practical effects, real looking blood, real, everything to be as real as possible. So I took that advice and used that straight through. And of course we had to do some, special effects, which our special effects were fantastic as well. But definitely wanted to start out with as much practical as possible.
Sounds like you have very smart friends. No, I very
I
smart, very
do, and
good
I will
friends.
credit them a lot. Yes.
That's I agree. Like every time especially on like a low budget indie film, if they try to do too much, it doesn't look right and it kind of pulls you out of the film, especially a movie that's like a genre film, a period film. If you see some sort of weird like CG in there, it's not going to look right.
Exactly. Yep.
So I know how you found the star. I know how you found the son, but how did you find the rest of this cast? It was just such a fun, interesting cast, especially the Joe character. He was like so charming and so like wonderful through a lot of the film.
Yes. Well, we had a normal, casting process. My producer, Robin DeMartino, who's also the casting director, sent out for actors to, send in their reels or their agents and went through the casting process. And, I will say, and I have said before, that everyone that auditioned was fantastic. Like everyone did a great job. But each time we saw the one person, we knew that's our Margaret or that's our Joe. Um, And it was just, it's just an instinct that we had, is like, that's what I envisioned. Even though, of course, everyone did such a great job.
Yeah, no, for sure. That's awesome. And it must have been fun to have the ability to work for all these people when everything is shutting down or everything's slowly starting back up and we're trying to like
Yeah,
figure out what the next project's going to be. It must have been nice to like be able to go and do a fun genre
exactly.
piece out in a beautiful winery. I mean, that's kind of its own reward right there.
Yeah, even for example, I mean, Carolyn Hennesy, um, she's fantastic, but in real life, she is a young, beautiful woman. And she had to play this 70 something, spinster, evil woman. And so for her, she was like, this is going to be, the opportunity of a lifetime to really show, what she can do. And she really, really was fantastic in the role and really wanted the role. And it's just so cool to see, that she could be, in real life, this amazingly beautiful young woman and then turn into this spinster psycho woman.
Yeah, no, very, very much kind of like Mia Goth and X. It had a similar
Right.
feel.
Exactly. Exactly.
So you said that the winery was in Southern California. Where is it, like in Temecula? Like where is this winery located? Or if you
It,
want to say.
yeah, it's Galliano Winery, which is one of the oldest wineries in all of Southern California, if not the oldest. It's either like the first or second. And it's in Mira Loma, which used to be called Wineville. So that town was called Wineville.
Oh,
Where we
awesome.
shot was on Wineville Road, which is where the chicken coop murders really happened back in the 20s. Which is why they ended up changing the name from Wineville to Mira Loma, actually. But that's where we shot. So it had this kind of history and creepiness already about it.
That's awesome. No, they should have left it as Wineville. That's a great name for a town. And I love seeing
Right?
the palm trees in there too. I was like, this is definitely California somewhere.
I know, right? Yeah.
So the film takes place on a winery. There is one scene where some wine is wasted due to someone's reaction. Was that movie magic? Please tell me that was movie magic. You didn't actually pour out wine, did you?
Ah, it looks like it, huh? But he
It does. It
really
looks very
did
good.
act, that was all real. He had to really get that open. But no, that was not real wine.
Yeah. That would, I
Otherwise,
mean,
we
that
would have all been like, okay, now everybody pull your, we cut and everyone grabs their glasses, pour the wine into the glasses and drink it, hurry before it's wasted. No, but yeah, that was movie magic.
exactly. You would have had that be the very last scene. You would have like rapped and then like, all right, rap, everyone go, get
Your
drunk, let's
glass,
go.
yeah.
So, kind of speaking of, the filming at a winery, how much wine was consumed, both for like research purposes and, method acting and whatnot? Or was it a fairly kind of like focused filming because it's an indie film, you don't have enough time, you don't have enough money? What was the set like?
It was very focused. However, after work, sometimes we would definitely have a glass of wine, just to unwind. But for the most part, yeah, we weren't really like drinking on set or anything like that. But that sounds fun.
No, I mean, and that's important, right? Like you need to understand
Yeah,
your character. Your character comes from a
yeah,
winery, so you have to
yeah,
understand wine, and
right.
it's
Yeah, yeah.
important.
She understands it very well.
And you mentioned that the film is premiering very soon. At the premiere, are you serving wine? Is there going to be wine available?
We are actually, it's kind of fun because we are actually opening up the premiere to the public for a certain amount of tickets. And with every ticket, they're going to get a glass of wine. So of Wineville wine, which is kind of fun. And we'll have some souvenir glasses that say Wineville and, so it's going to be a lot of fun.
That's awesome. And I'm sure there's not enough time, but if you had time, you should make little wine charms with like body parts on it or something just for the
Oh, yeah, they go on the glass.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's a cute idea.
Maybe for the physical release. Maybe when it comes out on Blu-ray, you can have that as like a collector's
Yeah.
item.
Yes, definitely. I like it.
I would definitely get that. So I know we have limited time. I'm going to switch to, I call it the lightning round. They're just lightweight questions about the film. I want to see how your personal experiences map to things in the movie. Feel free to skip any of them. I won't be offended, but I try to keep them very answerable.
Okay.
First question. Your character in this movie left her hometown at a young age. When did you leave your hometown?
Uh, well, I left home when I was 17. But I left my hometown area to go to Los Angeles when I just turned 23.
Oh wow. All right, perfect. And the film centers on your character coming back home for a reason. When was the last time you were back in your hometown?
Uh, oh, my mom's 70th birthday in January.
Oh, that's perfect. That's lovely.
Yes.
That's awesome. The family in this movie is known, for their winery. Is your family known for anything? Is there some sort of like store or product that your family is known for, or service maybe?
Oh gosh. Uh, no, except my mom always takes in the strays, so everyone knows they can call her if they have a stray animal.
A big heart. I love it. She's known
Yes,
for a big heart.
for sure.
This film involves, there's some scenes involving like farming and caring for the vines. Have you ever farmed anything? It doesn't have to be wine vines, although if it is, that's really cool.
Actually, I have a vineyard. I have a
Oh,
5-acre vineyard. I have Pinot Grigio and I have Syrah.
that's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome. How much
Yeah.
wine does your vineyard produce? Like, is it I assume it's
Uh,
sold, or is it just for like personal consumption?
no- well, I wonder if I could drink 9 tons of wine. I get about between both vineyards 14 tons of juice a year.
That's
So
awesome.
if you want to, I don't know how many cases that would be, but a lot of cases of wine.
That is a lot of Wineville premieres right there.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, that's awesome. No, that's amazing. So you definitely have like a personal connection with a lot of aspects of this movie. That's really cool.
Yeah, and I grew up in Northern California wine country, so for me, it's wine's been in my life my whole life, and I always dreamt of having a vineyard, and now I do.
That's
So
awesome. And you've
yeah,
always dreamt about directing the movie, so everything is coming true.
everything is, yeah.
Are you a red or a white wine person, or I don't know, maybe a sparkling wine? I'm not sure what your pleasure is.
I am all three. For me, it's all about the season. So in the summer, I like Sauvignon Blancs and Rosés and Pinot Grigios. In the winter, I like reds. And in the fall, I like reds. And then during the holidays, I love champagne and Prosecco, or when I'm celebrating, or, you know, before dinner, whatever. Champagne you can have anytime, but it's all seasonal for me, really.
You know your stuff, and that makes me want to like come have a holiday meal at your place. It sounds like a big party. It sounds fantastic.
Yes, I have fun Christmas parties.
When was the last time that you went wine tasting?
Uh, goodness. It might have been for my mom's 70th birthday. When we went back to Northern California, we went to a few wineries for her birthday. That's what she wanted to do. So we went wine tasting.
And everyone returned from that trip. Everyone, was
Everyone was
healthy.
good. But I live in wine country, so you say wine tasting, but I go to wineries all the time. So we either go to wineries for dinner or for lunch. So we're always tasting wine, we're drinking wine, but it's not like a actual tasting where you're trying a ton of different ones. But yeah, so I'm always going to wineries.
That sounds
For
fantastic.
the
You are
food,
living
for
a
the
charmed
food.
life. Well, you're always researching for your next project, right? You never know,
Exactly. You have to.
Wineville 2 will probably have more wine, so you just have to stay on top of it.
That's right.
This might be a tough one given
Oh,
your experience. What is your favorite wine if you have one?
um, like a brand or just a type? Oh gosh.
I mean, a brand if you can narrow it down, but maybe you need a type because it sounds like you have a lot of exposure and
Well,
probably a
as
lot of
we're gearing into winter, or excuse me, to fall, so I really love Camus Cab. That's probably like my famous favorite red, like to have with a nice steak. But like an everyday summery easy twist off is Kim Crawford Sauvignon Blanc. Like for me, it's inexpensive, it's easy, and it's good.
perfect. That's both great suggestions. The movie had Joe and your son trimming the leaves, getting rid of rot. When was the last time you had to go out there and like work the vines, make sure that they were healthy, do whatever you needed to make sure that your winery survived?
I'm kind of always looking. You have to always, pay attention, but we literally just picked. So I would say, a week ago when we picked, I go in and make sure they did a good pick. Is there any more that they missed? How did it go? Like just checking, going down the rows, making sure everything's good and kosher.
I love how involved you are in this whole world. This is amazing.
Yeah.
And the last question, this is probably like maybe in terms of hours. When was the last time that you had wine?
Last night I had one glass of wine with dinner.
Just
Yeah.
always method acting, always staying in character, just to make sure.
Got to do what you got to do.
Tough life. Someone has to do it for your art. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
So the film is coming out on September 6, 2024. You are out promoting the film, getting the word out, letting people know. But after people see you in Wineville, are there any other projects that you're working on or that are on the horizon that people can look forward for?
Well, right now we're also out talking about the new Baywatch film, the documentary, which is out now. It just came out on Hulu. So there's that. And then of course, Wineville, we want everyone to go. It'll be ready digitally September 10th, where they can go and watch it. And I'm working also on another film and a TV series as well. But it's kind of on the back burner right now because I'm really focusing on these two projects and making sure that people know about it.
Oh, that makes sense. Sounds like you have a very busy life. Sounds like you need a glass of wine to relax every day. But thank you so much for your time. Make sure to check out Wineville coming to digital on September 10th, 2024. This is Brande Roderick, the director and star. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
That was Brande Roderick, the director and star of Wineville, which is coming to VOD on September 6, 2024. It is a 70s throwback horror film that has a really messed up story, some great practical effects, and some twists along the way. If you like this interview, please like and subscribe to this channel. It helps me out a lot. Make sure all my new content goes straight to you. Thank you.